story is not part of 10 Power Stories. What I have are examples. For example, my son, there's a story around there. We can learn from anyone.
Okay.
My son is 8 years old at the time, and I have my amputation, and I'm at the church. We used to run after church service. He used to ask me when he was like 4 or 5 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old. He said, "Dad, let's run after church." And so we run down like 100 meters to this little creek, this little dry bed creek at the end of this driveway.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast with myself. Today, I have an amazing guest that I'm very excited to get to talk to, speak to, learn from, connect with, and to have an opportunity to motivate, inspire, and bless all of you listening. And before I introduce this gentleman to you, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving likes, comments, reviews on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those watching on YouTube as well. And I want to ask you for a favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of insight, motivation, inspiration, skill, information, to go out and take action, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 people. Share it on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, share it with 10 friends, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other entrepreneurs out there to change their lives. And today I have John Register. He failed to clear a hurdle as he trained for the Olympic Games and that was a move that led to a tragic accident and altered his life forever. He shifted his focus and embraced a new normal mindset. The decorated Persian Gulf War combat U.S. Army veteran, world champion, became a two-time Paralympic Games silver medalist, professional speaker, and global influencer. And John amputated his fears and founded the U.S. Olympic Committee Paralympic Military Sports Program. He authored a book called 10 Stories to Impact Any Leader, Journal Your Way Through Leadership Success in spring of 2020 during COVID, right? And works with business leaders to hurdle adversity, amputate fear, and embrace a new normal mindset to win life's medals. And I'm very excited to have you, John. Thank you very much. I'm excited that you're here, and you are welcome.
Alex, mucho gusto. Thank you so much for having me on today, and to your audience that's out there. I really appreciate the opportunity to learn from all of you today. So yeah, just thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome, John. And I'm excited. Thank you for being here. The first thing that I do with my guest, John, is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
So the entrepreneurship journey started when I was in Houma, Louisiana. I was a fresh amputee. I was doing Army total involvements in recruiting, and was leading some military service members to tell their story journeys to groups of high school students. I was MC the program, and then I would leave. The recruiters and the principal started calling me back and saying, "Would you come back down here and please inspire the students again, because they can't stop talking about you and your message and your story?" And I said, "Of course I'll do that." Then they said, "Well, how much do you charge for that?" And I went silent, because as you can get paid to speak. Yeah. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey. And now, years later, I work with business professionals. I was a world-class hurdler, had an amputation of my left leg, and won a silver medal in long jump in Sydney, Australia. So now I work with business professionals to help them hurdle adversity, amputate fear, embrace a new normal mindset to win life's medals. And that's hopefully 75 seconds or less.
You nailed it. Yeah. So what did you say? I'm curious. Like, you get asked, all right, so how much do you charge, John? And you were like, you stay silent. That was like the beginning of this realization that would lead you through a path, a journey in which you would get paid to speak and inspire others. So what did you say?
So what I did was I gave myself a little bit of grace and pause because I didn't understand, I didn't know. And I think that's what we all have to do when we don't know the answer to something. We can always give a grace and give a pause and say, let me get back to you on that. So that's exactly what I said. And then I
Nice.
went to go research the information. So I called people that I thought might be in this professional speaking area. I found a wonderful woman. Her name is Bonnie St. John. She's still a dear friend of mine today. And she walked me through, guided me through, helped me through this moment of what I could say back to this individual. What did I have? How could I do my contracts? All this stuff. And she did it within a 3-hour period. So the people who are out there that can help you get to a place where you may not have been before, they are there. You just need to open your circle up and allow them, invite them in to support.
Yeah, great insight. Like there's this saying that came to mind that when you say I don't know, right? That's a time for intelligence. Most people like
Time
want
for
to make
growth.
something up or they want to like respond, but no,
Yeah.
like if you
Yeah.
like, it's all good to be like, no, you know what? Let me get back to you later, right? And actually saying I don't know, that's a time for intelligence. So yeah, very very insightful. So now you speak, and I'm very excited to talk about those mindsets. Um, but before, so you wrote the book in 2020. So I want to ask about your mindset, and I want to get you to give us the good stuff, and then go to your story, right? Because a lot of people, I like it this way. I like to get into the success of the people that I interview first, because then people will start thinking like, oh, but you're you and I'm me, and I have all of this going on, and then all of a sudden, boom, we shift to like the past, and they're like, oh, never mind, right? So so the 10 power stories to impact any leader. I'm very intrigued by that book, because I'm a leader and I want to build leaders and I want to impact leaders. So tell me about that book.
So that book was birthed because I displaced a speaker for the United States State Department of State, that they have a global dinner for all leaders, their charge d'affaires and ambassadors in every country. And this was at the very beginning of COVID. So if you remember, the United States was a little bit behind in coming on board with the pandemic that was about to press upon us. And at this time was January, February of 2020.
Okay.
What happened was I was in Dubai. I was speaking for our State Department and on disability for the United Nations. And the conversation went so well that the then our State Department, with Secretary of State at this point, it was Mike Pompeo, got wind and heard that I did a great job for them over in Dubai, and asked me if I would come and speak to all of the leadership that was there. And I quickly realized, Alex, that a lot of these challenges that these amazing leaders were facing were hard because they didn't have a story to help explain to their staff from a leadership perspective. They wanted to bring me in, and I'm like, you don't need to bring me into all these 250 whatever countries we have. You need to know how to tell your own story. So I then quickly went, after that was over with, I sat down in a library before the whole pandemic, and I said, how can I help support these leaders? And out was birthed 10 power stories to impact any leader. Journal your way to leadership success. So I incubate with 10 of my stories that I usually don't tell in a presentation. And then I give my points, my lesson from each one of those stories. And then finally, I invite those that are reading to then journal 10 of their stories. So each story has about 5 to 6 questions for the leader to then journal what they're thinking about, write it down so that they have their own stories, right? And that they want to, I will help them structure it in such a way that it causes high level impact into the organization person that's listening to it. So they're breathing life into their organization. That's why I call myself an inspirational speaker and not a motivational speaker, because inspiration comes from the Latin verb to breathe into, to breathe life, to breathe into. So I'm trying to breathe life into someone, not motivation, where you got to keep on jump starting over and over again. You have to breathe life into it. I don't ever want them coming back to me. I want them taking the information and having life so they can put it and instill it into somebody else. Just like you're talking about on your show here, how you are instilling life into somebody that they can go on and have that life of their own and keep moving forward, instead of having to come back all the way to the well every single time to be motivated to do it. You have the life breathe into you, and you can just go on and do it yourself.
I love that. So, and I say motivate, inspire, and bless, because those are like my core values. I, like made them up, sometime along my journey.
Yeah,
and like the way that I explain it is like motivate. Like there's a lot of people who are motivations, right? There's a lot of people who can have a lot of money, and you get motivated by it because they're like, holy, crap, they have a lot of money. Or, you might see someone down the street that is jacked, and you're like they're jacked, right? And that gets you motivated. But it doesn't inspire you if they come from if they're like assholes and they're like, I'm jacked and you're fat, and I'm rich and you're poor, that doesn't inspire anyone. So you can motivate people by being an example, by leading from the front, by walking the talk. But then to inspire, you come from a place of love, right? You come from a place of respect and humility, which are also part of my core values, right? And instead of being like, look at me, like I'm so amazing, like I'm better than you, you're like, look at me, I'm so amazing, but look at you, you can be better, right? So you come from, that's how you inspire. And then if you do that, you bless people with the tools and the mindset and everything that they need, the information, you can change their life. So that's how I put it.
I agree with that. And also, to kind of just add on a little bit on that, the example you just used of that person that might be all jacked and everything, that person still can inspire you. They may not even realize that they're doing so. I was in an airport. I was wearing shorts. My artificial leg was being shown. And in that moment, a woman and brings her two children over and asks me questions about my artificial limb. She changed the entire dynamic of the gate waiting area. And the whole impetus, the whole situation began because I was wearing shorts, which exposed my artificial limb. So just because I'm sitting and reading a newspaper, minding my own business in an airport, somebody was being inspired. Had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with me showing up as my full authentic self in a moment that could actually cause life to be breathed into someone else. And I don't have to do it. I don't have to get out and do the resuscitation. It's just by my living that example for someone else. Just as I see somebody else that might inspire me, and they have no idea how they have impacted my life because I'm watching their service. I'm watching their story unfold, and it's causing impact in my life, and saying, not to elevate or stand on them, but rather to say, I get it. I can do the work. I can make this happen underneath the power that's been entrusted with me. And that is something that I cannot, it's a calling, right? And when we realize that only I can do the calling, I believe helps us advance forward. No one else can do it for you.
I like that. Is that story that you just told part of your 10 power stories?
So that story is not part of 10 power stories. What I have are examples. For example, my son, there's a story around there. We can learn from anyone. Okay. My son is 8 years old at the time, and I have my amputation, and I'm at the church. We used to run after church service. He used to ask me when he was like 4 or 5 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old. He said, "Dad, let's run after church." And so we run down like 100 meters to this little creek, this little dry bed creek at the end of this driveway. And so we would race down there. We walk back, and we race down there. We walk back. Every Sunday we'd kind of do this. And then when I had the amputation, I have an artificial leg, and it's hurting me. It's sweating. It's got calluses, and I'm kind of on a cane. I'm trying to walk. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. He says after church, "Hey, Dad, can we run down to the creek?" And I, as a dad, have to say, I can't run. I can't do that. You know how much that hurts to say that to your son that's right there, that I can't do what you're asking me to do. And then he says these words. He says to me, well, Dad, can we just walk down there? And I realize, Alex, in that moment, it is about the relationship and not the race. And so how many times do we
Yeah.
get in front of it, right? We're trying to think about the race we're in, and I got to win, I got to do all this. And it's really about the
The
relationship.
experience.
Think about for social media. Everybody wants to buy all their social media. They want to get so many likes and so many fan base. And I want 10,000, 100,000 people follow me. But do you know them? Have you built it in such a way that it is a relationship? I don't want my social media huge. I want to be able to have a dialogue with every single person that clicks on my button, right? It's the relationship, not the race.
All right. And that is the lesson. Yeah, that's
That's a
amazing. I'm
lesson in
gonna
the
go
book.
get your book right now. I don't know. Do you have a like a framework, like worksheets in which you help you
So
guide
that's
people
the
through?
power part of it. No, it's just the journal part of it. And no, it's not out there. It's only on Kindle because I just did it really quickly to just kind of get it out there. And now we're beginning to put it into a paperback so that you can just kind of get it. And then you can buy your own journal, just write, I'll try to get a journal or something. But I think it's important that the biggest thing is get the book on Kindle. It's easy. I mean, it's like $2, right? So just get it because I want to help people with this. That's all. And so you can have your own stories, use 10 of mine. And at the end of reading 10 of mine, you should have 10 of your own. That's the whole goal of the book.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like you just made your point, right? Like you said the point, and then you told this story, which makes the point like really real and like really believable.
Yeah.
Which is like very powerful. I actually have a mentor. His name is Peter Sage, and he
Mm.
talks in like analogies and story. Do you know who he is?
I do not. No, I do not.
So
So
he talks in like
I'm agreeing.
analogies.
I'm agreeing with you as far
Oh,
as
okay, got
you're
it.
saying.
He talks in like analogies and stories, and like there's literally like everything he talks, right? He gives an analogy and a story for, and then
Yeah,
like there's no way that you can argue with him because he gave like this amazing story that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see how it works, right? So,
right.
which is how this is how we learn. Like if we go back to like ancient times, like through civilizations and stuff, like the way we learn was by hearing stories from someone else, right?
That's
So
right.
that's why they're
Right.
so powerful.
Yeah.
And man, like that's so powerful. Like if you write it down, like your book, like principal things, you can use like you can make a worksheet instead of telling people to journal. You can like make a worksheet and tell them to like download it, and that could be like a lead generation thing, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, so
That's great. That's great advice. So thank you for it. Like I said, we're all about learning, right? So teach me, right? That's I love it.
like I would
Um,
download it. Like if you tell me, because like I'm looking to be a leader, right? Like I just with my business, it finally took off this year, and I'm on track for pretty cool growth. And I have people, I have team members, and I'm looking to be a leader. Not only that, I'm looking to build leaders and be able to lead leaders. And as soon as I saw this on your website, right, like the 10 power stories to impact any leader, I was like, like if you would have offered a worksheet in which you would help me craft those 10 stories to like impact any leader,
I,
I would have downloaded it right away, right?
I will do that after we get off this call. But I want to challenge you on something, Alex. Because it's not that you want to be a leader. You are
Okay.
a leader.
I am a
You
leader, yeah,
are
for
right
sure.
now, even right now. So when I talk to high school students, I never, I should say never because I'll probably slip up, but I rarely will say to them, you're a future leader. The reason for that is because I believe that leadership is right now. It's in the moment because those youth, they're leading their classmates. They're leading in the classrooms. Some people have, huge groups that are following them, some very small. But inside of their high schools, inside of their grade schools, inside of their elementary schools, there are leaders, and we see them all the time. All the time, we can recognize those individuals that everyone begins to follow. And everyone on the inside has that innate ability to do it, I believe. We just need to have it come forth and be taught or excavated, right? To pull it forth from someone. So it's very detrimental for a teacher to squash somebody's leadership that's beginning to evolve and come forward. I want to bring that forth. I want to nurture it. I want to grow it because you never know what your words are going to have impact for on that individual, to help them grow, to help them see themselves as powerful. I think it's really dangerous to say to somebody, you should just go to this other school because we don't believe that you can get into this school over here. No.
Sorry for the interruption. If you're an aspiring, established coach, course creator, author, and speaker, I want to extend an invitation to check out my free training on the podcast Cloak Track Framework by clicking on the link in the description of this podcast. On this training, you're going to learn how combining podcasting with a rare concept that very few people know about called the Cloak Track can help you build a multi-million-dollar network of successful people who can become your clients, put you in front of hundreds of your ideal clients with your message, coaching, courses, and books, help you become a best-selling author, get you booked to speak on stages, or even making an extra $237,600 in the next 6 months. Click on the link of the description of this podcast to learn about the 4 simple steps to make this work. Step number 1 is alignment. Aligning who you're trying to be, what you're trying to do, your goals and purpose with building your podcast so that podcasting is a vehicle that helps you achieve your goals. Step number 2 is leveraging the Cloak Track to find an unlimited supply of your ideal podcast guest. Step number 3 is leveraging the Cloak Track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4 is the content machine, which is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. These are the 4 steps to making the podcast Cloak Track Framework work, and I'm not going to hold anything back on this training. So click on the link in the description of this podcast, go and check it out. And once you've done that, if you feel like this would help, we also have a complimentary, free, absolutely free alignment call to get you started and show you exactly how to implement everything. Get access to the training right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Well, if you think that's the better school, then help me get to that point. Help me elevate to what you think should be the best thing so I can move. But it's also not to say that that other school, say it's a trade school or it's a junior college or something, isn't valuable, because great lessons come from. If I had to do it again, I'd probably go to like a junior college first and then elevate, because you don't have to pay all the money of the four-year institution when you're going to learn the same stuff. So I think that's the thing we need to begin to, as you were talking about, being smarter with how you're building the business and how you elevate and build upon block, brick upon brick to get to where you desire to be in life.
Yeah. So we're talking about relationships, right? Like, I think, so I just realized this, like, relationships are so complex. They can be complex and difficult. Like, anything you say can have like huge impact, especially with your kids. So, like, I'm very aware, like, I was raised not in the best way. I'm very grateful about it, right? But like, I was raised not in the best way. And I'm very aware about how we were raising my daughter, like me and my wife, right? And like, we were driving in the car and we were just talking about how one thing happened, but I had a different, experience. I had a different meaning. I gave a different meaning to what happened. And then my wife gave a different meaning to what happened. And then my daughter was giving a different meaning, right? And like, one thing that I thought wasn't that bad made my daughter suffer and made my wife frustrated. And like, we literally all have different meanings, right? And yeah, like, it's just really complex, and it's really like difficult to handle everything.
Everybody is their own individual, right? And we have a different lens and where we're coming from. So if you're watching, say, a soccer match, football match is soccer, and I'm sitting on the north side and you're sitting on the south side, we're going to see the game from 2 different viewpoints, but the goal and the outcome is still the same. That's what we're trying to get to. The goal and the outcome is still the same, but we might have a different balance. I might be sitting in the end zone. You're in the opposite end zone, right? So I'm going to see the game from a very different viewpoint than everybody else, high up or very close on the field. Coaches are right on the field. If I'm paying my $2 ticket, I'm way up in the bleachers.
Yeah.
And so I have a vantage point. I can see everything, while that coach who's on the field can only see, the micro things. The players see something on the field that's different. They only see maybe a couple of passes in front of them and the defender that's trying to come. They don't see maybe the person that's behind them, or they don't maybe not see the goalie that's in front of them. They're trying to maneuver that ball to get it in position in order to attack from a known entity, a known space. Everybody has their vantage point of which they're seeing, just like you did in the car. Your daughter has a vantage point, your wife has a vantage point, and you have a vantage point. And I think the thing that we have to do is honor the vantage point of somebody else. because just because somebody else is having a different vantage point doesn't mean that
They're wrong.
or exactly right, that they're wrong. So we see it in America today, right? We see that we have a group that just thinks that it should be just this way. We have another group that sees it this way. We have another group that sees it over here. Right? So that's the whole, where's my vantage point? How do I see this country that we're living in? I think the other thing, is what's the best way? I don't know if there is the best way. There's just a way. And we try to live the life without having regret. And it's something I'm working on right now, this whole word around regret, because regret is something that can be stopped before you get to the regret.
Okay.
You don't have to have regret, because you can arrest the behavior that's going to cause you to have regret.
Okay.
See, so if I have regret about something, it's something that I probably didn't desire to do in the first place. I didn't want to do it. So can I arrest it? Can I stop it before I actually do it? So I will not have regret. I think the only reason we should have it is if we have wronged somebody and we want to go back and make it right to the individual. But moving forward, we shouldn't have regret, because we shouldn't want to wrong somebody in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's why I think, it's not just the best way, it's just kind of a way that we can operate. And we want to operate with love, compassion, and uplifting our fellow human.
So much uncertainty, right? Like with everything that is happening. So, man, like how do you, I know that you like to talk about this. So how do you handle uncertainty? How do you hurdle over adversity? And like, what does embrace your new normal mindset mean?
Oh, you're asking a lot right now. Okay, so the first thing on uncertainty, what I try to do as a professional speaker is to challenge thought, is to begin to try to elevate the way that we think about certain terms or certain words. And so one of those words is uncertainty. And so I'll say to somebody that says we're living in such uncertain times right now, I will then challenge and say, well, tell me a time when you ever had 100% definitive certainty. When did you know that something exactly was going to happen the way it was supposed to happen? And usually we don't. We predict it. We predict it out. It's never certain, because something can always change. My wife, she's a flight attendant with a particular airline, and she's on her way here. We're now in Kauai, right? So I just try to. That's why I got my Hawaiian shirt on, right?
Nice.
So we were going to have like a meal with her crew that we've been with the entire night. So I'm trying to create the opportunity. And she just called me to say, right before I came on the show, that the person that was with her flight attendant buddy, coworker, cohort, just got pulled from the trip to go back to the mainland. If I had been certain that we were going to have the dinner tonight with that entire crew, she would be here.
Yeah.
But it's not, it was uncertain. So it's not, we never have certainty, right? So someone's always going to be. So how I handle that is to say, let's prepare for the best of our ability, and let's create a new normal mindset. And here's the new normal mindset. Most people, again, will say the new normal, they're jaded with the term because it's powerless. It has no power to the meaning of the words new normal. And they say, and so it usually comes out like this, Alex. It comes out a past state that can never, can't be redone. And people will say, man, I just wish things would get back to normal. Things just get back to normal, it'd be great, but that's gone. That reality is past. Mm-hmm. The other way they say it is a present state, which has it's a paralyzed present state. They can't move forward from it. We can't move forward from it. And it comes out like this. Well, I guess this is just our new normal. And both those things, we feel powerless in it. But if we look and we break down the word, right? We break down new and normal. New means no prior point of reference. No prior point of reference. So if that's the case, then why are we trying to use old systems, old thoughts, old ideas to put into a new bucket to get a different output? It's the definition of insanity, doing something over and over again, trying to get a different output, right? The second thing is normal. Normal defined as the everyday typical occurrence of a thought or an action. So what are the rituals I have in place that lead me to a rhythm, that elevate me to a rise, that create the desired results that I'm looking for? So now when I put new and normal together, no prior point of reference, the typical everyday outputs that I'm trying to get after, it cannot be, the new normal cannot be a destination. It's not something where I land on it. It's only a plateau by which I grow. So we take the Olympic and Paralympic model, the Olympic model of Citius, Altius, Fortius, the Latin words for swifter, higher, stronger. Those words are not written in the superlative of the word. It's not the highest form of the word. It's not swiftest, highest, or strongest. They're written with an ER stem ending, which means I can be the swiftest today, swifter tomorrow. Jump the highest today, jump higher tomorrow. Lift the heaviest weight today, lift heavier weight tomorrow. So I'm always progressing. I'm always getting on the plateau, and I'm elevating. I'm growing. It's a plateau to grow. And that's what I think, when we talk about the new normal mindset, which then comes into 3 buckets. The first is the reckoning moment. The reckoning moment. The reckoning moment is realizing I do not get back what I desire to have back. So I have something that's going on in my life. Everything's going crazy. It's going great. The next thing that happens is some traumatic event happens. And the third thing that happens is I have a desire to return to the first part of it. Once I realize I don't get that back, I can graduate to the transformation. The transformation moment ends with the hurdle. It ends with the jump over the hurdle. And the hurdle is an obstacle that's in front of us. And it's usually our mindset of, will I commit to a vision that I now know or not? If I commit to the vision, then I'm in the rebirth. I'm in the new normal mindset, which is the rebirth is very hard, because you have to change the way that you actually think about something, because that begins the new. And then that, after time, will equal our freedom, or our resolution, but it'll equal our freedom. And it's not, the freedom is not for us. The freedom is to go back and teach somebody else how to hurdle their adversity. So that's the whole legacy piece of in the framework of what I share when I talk about with groups.
Nice. I like it, especially the last part, which is like teaching, right? Because when you teach, 2 people are learning. When you teach someone, 2 people are learning, right? So that's
right.
like another way to reinforce what you just went through in the process.
That's right.
And teach someone else. Awesome. So yeah, I'm really interested in everything that you've talked about. You've shared a lot of wisdom, and and you're in Hawaii having an awesome time waiting for your wife and all of that. But now, like, take me back. So how did all of this started? Like, how have you been able to become John Register, like the speaker, right, author, and all of that?
So it starts, to me, it starts with faith. And so for me, I'm a Christian. And what that means is it's not an identifier of church. It's an identifier of how I show up in life. And I look at the end of my life and I say, what do I want at the end of my life? And I want to hear my God say, well done, my good and faithful servant, enter now into the joy of my rest. How do I do that? I seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All things shall be added to me. How do I do that? I'm going to always build upon the foundation to begin to add life and breathe that in spiro into other individuals. It's not going to be detract. Everything I'm going to do is going to be adding life into people. I'm going to elevate. I'm going to do my best of my ability to seek out and elevate those that are listening for that. So it's never going to be a detractor. It's always going to be an elevator. That's how I start. I think the second thing then is, once I was a world-class hurdler, I went across a hurdle when I was training for the Olympic Games. I dislocated my left knee. I severed the artery behind my kneecap, and 7 days later, I became an amputee. I was going down a downward spiral. I was wondering who I am now. What's my identity? Will Alice, my wife, stick around? Will my son still see me as his father? Will I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? All these things were in my head. And my wife says to me, you know what, John? We're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. And when she spoke those words, she baselined my entire existence. And I understood that I now have to move forward. She's not leaving. That wasn't even on her. That wasn't on her of leaving me. That was on me, because I was not thinking about her leaving. What I was thinking about is, am I still desirable? Do I still have worth? Do people still, will they pour into me? Will I have any type of voice? That's what I was afraid I was going to lose.
Am I
was
good
the
enough?
clout. Am I good enough? Can I measure up still? All these things were in my head, right? And that's where my fear is. Not her leaving. That's selfish of me to think of that. That's not her. So I started, to swim for physical therapy, and I got so fast in the water that I made the Paralympic swim team.
Nice.
I saw athletes in 1996 Paralympic Games in Atlanta, Georgia, running on artificial legs. I said, I have to get one of those made. And then 4 years later, after having a leg made for running, I returned to the track and went to Sydney, Australia as a part of the Paralympic track and field team. And I was an All-American long jumper at Arkansas, wound up going to Sydney, Australia with one leg and winning the silver medal in the long jump. The legacy piece was after I hung my track and field spike up, I started the Paralympic Military Sport Program, which works with wounded, ill, and injured service members who use sports as a tool for their rehabilitation. So that's the legacy piece, to give back. And it was a breathing of life into those individuals, the Inspiro, because I never really wanted to see them again. I wanted them to move out and just know that whatever they desired to do in life, it was still possible for them to do. Look for the parallel path in the life. And so from there, I started doing a lot of work with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, training not only people in the United States, but all across the world on how just to tell their journey stories from the standpoint to give more people access and opportunities that were in their countries, along with Olympic and Paralympic athletes and wounded, ill, and injured service members, to learn how to tell the story. And then now you saw with the book as well on how to tell stories. And in fact, I'm going to be, I'll share with you and your audience when we get the date. It's going to be in the next couple of weeks here. I'm going to do a class on the inspirational speaker. Not the motivational speaker, but the inspirational speaker. What does that mean? And how do you become one? And how can you earn revenue from it? So that is the big thing we're going to do. And I'm a I'm a person that if I'm going to do a class and I'm going to teach a class, I'm looking for a very specific person to come to that class. And it's not somebody that's kind of just, trying to feel it out. You can come, but the one I'm looking for, if you really want to invest, you're going to have to put some skin in the game. And I'm not doing it for you. I do not believe in doing anything for anyone when it comes to them and their livelihood trying to advance forward. I'm going to give you the tools necessary, and then you're gonna have to go out and do the work. In fact, the diploma that you get, you're gonna have to give to me, because you're going to be the one out there and to be successful doing it. And I've had many successful people doing it. It's just that I think that there's a pie in the sky thing, that this is easy. This is not easy work. And that if you just work hard, you're gonna get there. No, because you have to open up the access to opportunity. And sometimes that opportunity, some people close that door in your face, and you have to beat that door down, and you have to go for it. You have to go get it. And I'm going to teach you how to go get it, right? I'm not going to do the work for you. That's for doggone sure. And so I think that's a false narrative when people are trying to say they're going to do the work for somebody and find them all these speaking engagements. You're going to do that for the rest of their life? No, we got to teach people how to fish, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, the story that you just told, your story was like like a perfect representation of what it means to embrace your new normal, right? And then keep on growing from there, right? And then the legacy piece and all that. Yeah, that was great. That I didn't quite get it when you explained it, but then you told your story and then boom, I got it. So yeah, that was great. And this inspirational speaker class that you're going to be giving is sounds really interesting. So tell me a little bit about that. And where can we find it? Because, I want to motivate, inspire, and bless thousands of people and speak in front of, crowds with thousands of people as well.
Yeah.
So where can we find this class that you're going to be giving?
So the best way to do it is I want to be putting it up on all my social media channels. Okay. And the way to get to my social media channels is the best way to get is on Linktree, right? But it'll be on my website, but Linktree, and that's linktr.ee/John F. Register. So linktr.ee/John John F. Register. That gives you all my social media, my website, everything is right there. If you get on that page, you'll find it. And we're going to start promoting it beginning tomorrow. Tuesday, beginning Wednesday, we'll start the first promotion of it. And again, this is for the inspirational speaker. I'm very specific on who the target audience is. If you're looking to make impact, to breathe life into people, this is the place that you want to be. And we will do a 3-hour class. The first one will be a 3-hour class. It's going to be about 2 weeks from now. And then we'll do, from that 3-hour class, those that want to go forward into a 6-week-long program, you can invite you into that program. Again, it's only for those that are serious about it, that are willing, that are at the point where they are willing to invest in themselves. If you're not willing to invest in yourself right now, you are not going to want to come to this class, because this is a really hard, down to earth. We are going to get in the weeds, popping off hard work. And I say that very emphatically, because I don't want people in there who are just half stepping. I don't have time for it. I just don't have time for it. So if you're really serious about it, this is the class to be in. And again, I'm not doing the work for you, but I'll teach you how to do the work and go get it for yourself.
Awesome. I love that. So, man, we are almost out of time. And, I like to end my interviews with 5 questions. Okay. So the first one is, if you could, well, this is not the first one actually, John, but how old are you? I just want to know.
Oh my gosh, how old? Look, good question. 57.
Nice. Yeah. All right. You look awesome, right? Full of energy and stuff. So yeah, I'm glad. I like to, I've interviewed a bunch of people, and normally the people that I interview are like 40. I'm 21, so like they're like decades ahead of me.
Great.
And they look amazing. Like I've interviewed some like 50, 60-year-olds, and they look like they're just starting, right? They're just beginning. So it's amazing. It's like really inspiring. And that breathes life into me. And the first question is, if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would that be?
Can I flip the question? Here's why. Because I can't go back. Remember, we're talking about the new normal, right? I can't go back and change that. But here's what I can do. I can look 20 years down the road and say, okay, what my 77-year-old self tell my 57-year-old self right now.
All right, let's do that.
Right. So what I want to know is, I would tell myself right now, be honorable in every single transaction you make. Be honorable to every person that you come in contact with. Give space to all those individuals, because you never know how you're going, that space is going to impact someone's life. And then be ready for the echoes that come back for you to keep you on the right track. So that's the advice I would give myself from my 77-year-old self back to
I don't quite
today.
get it. So like, that was great advice. I like it. But like, 2 things. What does honorable mean? And what does like giving space mean?
So honorable, right? So in every transaction that I want to do with somebody, I want to do with my best, not my best foot forward, but my best intentions of giving grace and the advice or whatever they're pulling from me, to just be honorable, just give it, right? Without anything in return, right? Because what is a gift? A gift is something that we give to somebody without expecting anything in return. It ain't like on Christmas, I didn't get this because you didn't get no, right? I'm giving you a gift, and it's up to you, the receiver, to accept the gift or not. So I want to give you exactly what it is that you need to grow. So go ahead.
And what about giving space? What do you mean by that?
So giving space is, people come with contractions and rules around them. So I want to be able to, whatever they're coming at me with, whatever their baggage is to give grace and give space to that. So I am not hung up on the thing that's coming to me from them, right? So it might be something I agree or disagree with, but I don't want that to be a blocker of what I can give to them, just because I don't agree with something that they may have said or done.
Got it. Awesome. All right. I get it. All right. Awesome. Yeah. I'm glad I asked, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mindset. So what is one mindset shift? Oh, yeah, I know. or that you've had that you think has contributed to, to the success that you're having?
I think the greatest mindset shift is understanding that I don't need to look at other people to determine the success that I can have in my life. So how do I say this better? I don't need somebody else's validation for who I am.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So you don't need anyone's validation, approval, acceptance,
No.
to go out and do whatever it is that you feel called to do.
And that's a liberating thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so liberating when you realize that you don't need anybody else's approval or validation.
When you
right?
realize it and internalize that, right?
When you internalize it, and and again, let me qualify this, right? Because we are elevating people's lives, we're breathing life into someone's life, we're not taking away. So I'm not saying it from the negative standpoint, I'm saying it always from the positive standpoint of building life into somebody. Because there is a negative side that you can have to that.
Yeah, like not caring.
Absolutely.
Right, which is the flip side of insecurity, right? Like not caring.
That's
It's
right.
not about not caring. Like you can like, like we were talking about, two opinions can live in the same reality and they could both be right. But like that other opinion should not stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do.
Yes.
Mindset,
Always.
map. So do you have any clarity, any piece of advice, tactic, tool, strategy to like for people who may lack or need clarity, John?
So I think for clarity, it always comes down to, can I get more information? And the information has to come from a place of truth, a place of fact, right? And it's a non-negotiable fact that we have. The closer that we can get to that fact of, go back to mathematics, 2 + 2 is 4. And so if we know that to be true, would I argue against it? Right. So can I prove? We don't. So we were talking earlier before the show about people on Memorial Day or a day of service or whatever we want to call it, saying thank you for your service to a military veteran, which is great. We always do it. The question I have then is, what is it that I have done that you're thanking me for? Most people say going to war, sacrificing for our country. And I say, well, that's really not it, because that's not what I signed up to do. That's what I signed up as far as the operation that I may have to do, but that's not why I signed up, or at least what Uncle Sam told me was, right? Okay. So what I signed up for was to protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. So that's a long way to say that's what you're thanking somebody's service for. And if you do not believe that, if you think that we do not have domestic terrorists in our country, then why was it written into the Constitution? And B, if you don't think of it that way, then you need to, excuse me, but get out of my country, or don't thank me for my service, because that's what you're thanking me for. So I cause people to try to begin to think deeply about what the words are that they're using and the kind of phrases that we just throw out there, kind of willy-nilly.
Okay. Well, now that I know, and now, I didn't know everything that you said, but I know it, and I believe it. So thank you for your service, man. Right?
Cool.
And for letting me know why the real reason behind everything is all about. So yeah. The last mindset map, motion. So what is one habit that you have, John, that you think is contributing to your success?
Well, I think I have several that, and we talked about what are in the normal, right, is what are the rituals we have in place that lead us to a rhythm that elevates to a rise. So every day, to the best of my ability, I have a little Bible study, prayer, and I start my day kind of that way. And then I go for some activity, a swim, a walk, or something, to just get my juices flowing and get the endorphins moving in my head. And then when I come back, I set my schedule down this is the work schedule, and I begin to kind of time block on what's the most important thing to get done today. Do I have anything that's coming up? And I break it down into an acronym called SMERP, SMEERP. And SMERP stands for, I want to do sales, I want to do marketing, I want to do my exercise, I'm going to do education, I'm going to educate myself on something new that day, I'm going to do a research on something I may need to research for a presentation I have coming up, or on a company or a call I have. And then I'm going to do some preparation. The preparation can be like the research, but the preparation is generally for the presentation I'm going to do. I'm going to make it, put it into the box of the actual PowerPoint or whatever the delivery mechanism is. So I do the preparation. So that's my SMERP acronym to keep me focused in on the day. And then I celebrate it after it's over with, right? I celebrate the day. I try to shut it down at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon and be done with the day and be ready to prepare for the next day.
Nice. I like that. SMERP. Awesome.
SMERP. Yeah. JR SMERP.
Awesome. And the last question is around measuring and tracking. What do you think about measuring and tracking, John?
Measuring and tracking? Yeah. I believe in micro measurements, because sometimes we measure things that are so large that we can't get our head around it. So when I was speaking to some of the military service injured personnel, the Paralympic Games was just too far of a measurement tool. It was too long and had to learn how to walk and all this other stuff. So can I measure it like I had to measure it by just standing up on my good leg for 15 seconds when I first had my leg amputated, and then measure it by manipulating a wheelchair to my prosthetic appointment, measuring by learning how to put on and off a prosthetic limb, measuring by walking around the hospital on a 4-bar walker, and then to walker to crutches, crutches to cane, cane to free walking to running, running to jumping, jumping to a silver medal. I think we have to begin the measurement with very micro things, micro wins, to build up the momentum we need to attack the hurdles that are in our lives.
Nice. Very beautifully said, man. So I've had a lot of fun. Thank you very much, John. If anyone wants to know more about, you gave the link tree, right? To like access more of your stuff, and then this new inspirational speaker class that you have going on. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, where do you think is the best place to do that?
I think the best place to start is just the website, which is johnregister.com, johnregister.com. The link tree sites, I think, is all up there as well. And if you know anybody that is out there, like you said in the beginning of the show, to tell 10 people, if you found this show kind of fascinating and that you want to do something, make sure that you promote Alex's show out there to your networks. Don't hide and hoard the information, because a closed fist doesn't get fed, right? We got to open up our hands to give. And so give more of the show, of Alex's show. He's doing a fantastic job with it. And then share some lessons or messages that you heard from me that may have resonated, and tag me in it, right? So tag on the Instagram, on the IG, tag on Facebook, whatever you got to do, tag it so that I can see it and then give value and credence to what you said. So we want to grow this community together. So thanks. Back to you, Alex.
Thanks, man. I'm just like taking in the compliment and feeling it. Thank you, man. So thank you very much. And yeah, I'll see you later, John. I'll see you later. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye. Absolutely. Bye-bye. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms